It was the 23rd of September, and for AEW Dynamite, FTR and Tully Blanchard came out. Tully came out with some stipulations built around Dusty Rhodes' ideas for Tully as the TV champion in the 80s, and you guys had stipulations for your tag team matches, because usually the last 60 minutes, but you're only going to put the titles up on TV, but with 20 minutes limits, but you get to pick the opponents. If they don't win in 20 minutes, FTR gets the credit for the win. What in the hell was this, Dax Howard?
So this was Tully's idea that he had pitched to us, and I thought it could work. I felt like it could work. We called it our Brush with Greatness, obviously stolen from the Hollywood Blondes. The idea was we would give any tag team a title shot for the AEW Tag Team Championships. They just had to beat us within the 20 minutes allotted. And if it went over 20 minutes, or if it was, it was a 20-minute time limit, and if they didn't beat us within the 20 minutes, then we were still the champions. It was a way to have us get more matches on television as a tag team, for us to get over, but also have fresh matches that you might not see again, because these tag teams may not have been in the top 5 contenders. Right. Initially it was pitched to bring in a few independent teams to work with too.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it was that's why we called it a brush with greatness, because you got your one opportunity to wrestle the greatest tag team, the AEW Tag Team Champions, and if you could get it done in 20 minutes, you got it done. If you couldn't, goodbye. So that was the initial plan for me. It never really materialized to that, but it was a bit confusing. To nobody's fault except for, I would put the blame on us, because we kind of pushed for that idea, because we felt we needed to be on TV, especially when we figured out we were going to the Bucks next for the pay-per-view. We needed to get on TV to have a few more matches, and just reintroduce ourselves to this audience. Because before that, if you think about it, dude, before that, we had been in WWE, right? And we had we really hadn't had very many opportunities for tag team matches outside of 3-minute matches with Lucha House Party, maybe an off match with someone, a babyface team on on a pay-per-view where we lost, or when Hunter was introducing, when Vince was introducing the NXT guys. Every NXT people that come in, Gargano and Ciampa, Malachi Black and Ricochet,
right.
We were putting these people over. So the fans had seen us lose a lot on TV. So we needed to reintroduce ourselves. And I feel that, a lot of wrestlers get this misconception because something gets a pop, or they get a reaction when they come out, or whatever, that they're over. They're quote unquote over. There are only a handful of people in this business that are actually over. Maybe a couple of handful of people in the whole business that are actually over. Just because you get a reaction doesn't mean you're over. And I've thought that about our whole career. At that point, we were not over. We weren't even close to being over. I mean, but like I said, just because you get a reaction doesn't mean you're over. You can go in the ring and sit down and take a shit in the middle of the ring, and there's going to be a reaction. Doesn't mean that you're over. You know what I mean?
It doesn't mean it's good, right?
Doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean you're over. When you get an emotional connection with the fans, and that's why I believe there's some kind of middle ground between the people who say moves don't matter and the people say more is more. We need more. There's a middle ground, because moves do matter, but you got to make it matter when the people care about who you are. You understand? And when they care about who you are, that's when you're over. Excuse me. When they care about your home life, or they care about your day-to-day life, or what you're doing, or man, I hope, for example, I know this sounds corny, but man, I hope today Dax is having a good day. That's when you're over, because they love you. They have or they hate you. They have a feeling about you some type of way. That's when you're over. And we, at that time, were not even close to being over. So we needed to reintroduce ourselves. And instead of having squash matches, which is passe nowadays. That was my idea. Have this match where these tag teams, these random teams from all across the country had a brush with greatness, quote unquote, worked with us, and we got to go over, and that was just, I should have understood. I should have been smarter to understand that in this day and age with television time the way it is, it's not like it was in the 80s where you could take where it wasn't ratings driven back then. They were still driven by the house show business. So you could take 5 minutes to explain what the Tully Blanchard's 10-minute TV time limit was,
Right.
Nowadays, you don't have that much time to fully explain what it is. And that was a misjudgment on my part, no one else's part. Misjudgment on my part. So I take the blame for that.
I'm not sure it was a misjudgment. Like I said, what the hell is this? Because it wasn't followed up on. It's like the tag ropes thing that happened previous to this. Isn't that the issue, that it wasn't followed up on? Not so much that it's not that complicated. It's an idea, but if you don't talk about it ever again, it's not that great, right?
Yeah, maybe so. And, it could probably have been explained better. I probably could have given better direction to the commentators to explain it a little bit better. I just didn't have that rapport with them yet because I was still kind of new. But yeah, the follow-up could have been better. The execution on my part should have been better. And like I said, I take responsibility for that. That's my fault.